Yankees fans are not happy with Aaron Boone and the team after they benched Aaron Judge and got embarrassed by the Baltimore Orioles. Elly Cruz, he had a big day against the Dodgers, and then afterwards he said that he was born in LA. I'm so confused by that. I need some more information. Justin Verlander, he's going for his 250th career win, maybe his final start as a New York Met. All of that in today's MLB Recap, a series in which we recap every single game, almost every single day. And a reminder, if you're going to any games, concerts, anything like that, use code Fuzzy on SeatGeek to save 20 bucks off. Now, before we get into all of the games from yesterday, let's talk about a few trades that happened over the last 48 hours. So Nicky Lopez of the Royals, he is going to the Braves in exchange for left-handed pitcher Taylor Hearn. So Nicky Lopez, he's a 28-year-old infielder with a 62 OPS plus over the last 2 seasons, but he is an elite defender no matter where you put him. So he's going to be someone that gives Ozzie Albies a day off, or maybe someone like Orlando Arcia. So he's going to plug in and play those positions. Taylor Hearn is a 28-year-old, 6'6" left-handed pitcher. He's honestly not been good since 2020. So that's the trade in a nutshell. Nicky Lopez going to the Braves for lefty Taylor Hearn. The Cardinals fire sale might be beginning, and they traded away both Jordan Hicks and Jordan Montgomery. Let's talk about Jordan Hicks first. He's going to the Blue Jays. He has a 3.6 ERA and 59 strikeouts in just 41 innings, so he is disgusting. He can get it up to 104, sometimes 105 miles an hour. This is great timing because Jordan Romano, he's landed on the IL. Once Romano comes back, Hicks, he's probably going to be a setup guy. The Cardinals got right-handed pitcher Sam. Now, I just heard about these guys for the first time, so if I butcher their last name, I'm sorry. Sam Roberts, he was a 2023 AL Future Star representative. He's a 21-year-old with a 4 ERA with decent stuff. I'm not too excited about him. Right-handed pitcher Adam Kloffstein, he's also going back to the Cardinals. He's a 6'5", 22-year-old with a 3.2 ERA and 105 strikeouts and 109 AA innings, so it seems like he's going to be the biggest piece of that trade. Just to recap, Jordan Hicks going to the Blue Jays for 2 minor league pitchers and Sam Roberts and Adam Kloffstein. We're not done. The Cardinals also shipped off the other Jordan Montgomery. He's going to the Rangers. The Rangers are going for it. I mean, good thing too, because Nathan Eovaldi and Jacob deGrom, they're on the IL right now, so this is perfect timing for them. Montgomery, he has a 3.59 ERA and a 3.68 FIP since 2021, so he's consistently pretty solid. The Cardinals kind of got a haul in this one. They got infielder Thomas Sagas. I don't know how to say his last name, but he is a 21-year-old infielder with a 313 batting average and 15 home runs with 8 stolen bases and 93 AA games. That kid is going to be raw. They also got right-handed pitcher Takoa Roby. Again, these are some interesting names. He's a 21-year-old starting pitcher with pretty solid stuff, actually. He has 211 strikeouts and 173 minor league innings. And then also, they got a guy with big league experience, lefty John King. He's a 28-year-old lefty who just has not been good in his brief instances as a big leaguer. He has a 4.3 ERA with low strikeout stuff. So there's the Jordan Montgomery trade in a nutshell. The Rangers, they're pretty good at making trades. And then before we get into the games, the last big trade I want to talk about, CJ Cron and Randall Grichuk, they're going back to the Angels for 2 pitching prospects. If you don't remember, CJ Cron, he was drafted by the Angels in 2011. He has 11 home runs this year. He's hitting .315 with 5 home runs and 11 RBIs over his last 14 games. Maybe he's going to be a platoon guy with Mike Moustakas at first base. Randall Grichuk, he was also drafted by the Angels, but back in 2009, he's hitting .308 with 28 extra base hits and a 121 OPS plus on the year. He's going to be replacing Taylor Ward, who went down with, one of the worst injuries I've seen. He got hit in the face by Alek Manoah. He was transferred to the 60-day IL, so he's probably going to miss the rest of the year. In exchange, the Rockies got a 6'6" righty in a 21-year-old Jake Madden. He has a 5.5 ERA in single-A ball, so not the best, but they also got Mason Albright, who I like. He's a 20-year-old lefty with a 3.6 ERA and 86 strikeouts and 79 innings in A-ball this year. So not the biggest trade in the world, but the Angels, they're not giving up just yet. All right, so before we talk about the Angels game, let's talk about a walk-off victory from yesterday. We have the Phillies taking on the Pirates, and not too often do you see a team get no hit after 5 innings, and they end up winning the game, but that's what happened. Phillies starting pitcher Christopher Sanchez, he tossed 5 no-hit frames. He left with a 2-0 lead, and as soon as he left, yep, you guessed it, Brian Reynolds, he ties it on 1 swing. Now, the Phillies did steal the lead right back in the very next half inning, only to have their defense implode and blow it. They allowed 1 earned run in the 7th, and then a game-time sack fly to rookie Nick Gonzalez later on in the game. Now we're going to go ahead and skip to the 10th inning where Philly, they have 2 on, and a fly ball was lifted to rookie Henry Davis in right field. Look at that hose piece. It was smart for Bryce Harper to stay put at third base. I think he would have been hosed, but Alec Bohm, he wasn't looking. He ended up getting bat picked, and the Pirates, they got out of that with no damage done. So the birthday boy, he's going to get a chance. Josh Palacios, He walked it off on his 28th birthday. That's a 2-run blast. The Pirates, they beat the Phillies 6-4. Another walk-off, we have the Red Sox and the Giants. Now, Boston, they deployed a bunch of relievers in this one, and they did a pretty solid job at limiting the Giants to just 2 runs over 5 innings. Wilmer Flores, he drove in that second run, and San Francisco, they also did a pretty good job at limiting Boston. They held them scoreless until the 7th, when former Giant Adam Duvall, he was a rookie, I think, once upon a time for the Giants. He hit a home run. He has 9 home runs and a 130 OPS plus. Maybe he's going to get traded because he's a free agent. I think in 2024, 2025, he might get moved. Now, speaking of free agents next year, Justin Turner, he hammered a pitch. He's 38 years old with 17 home runs and 70 RBIs. He's on pace for 27 home runs and 110 RBIs. He would be one of 4 38-year-olds ever. Look at these names: Frank Thomas, Rafael Palmeiro, and David Ortiz. Justin Turner would be on that list. He's having one of the best old seasons in the history of baseball. So Boston, they're up 3-2, but lost the lead after an RBI ground out from rookie Patrick Bailey. We got some more free baseball in this one. Skipping to the 11th, Jock Peterson, he stepped in with ducks on a pond, and he did his thing. He walks it off on a single. The Giants, they've won 2 in a row. They're back to 10 games over 500. The Blue Jays and the Angels, apparently both starters in this one were allergic to giving up runs, as 2 runs total were scored over the first 9 innings. LA starting pitcher Tyler Anderson, he allowed 1 run over 6 1/3, while Jose Barrios, his comeback season continued in a big way. He struck out 6 over 6, allowing just 1 run. He has a 3.3 ERA on the season, which is fantastic considering he had a 5.2 ERA just a season ago in 2022. Now, again, more free baseball. We head to extras. Hunter Renfroe, he drove in his 2nd and 3rd RBI on 1 swing. His 17th home run wins it for the Halos. He drove in every single run for LA yesterday. Vladdy, he drove in that ghost runner, but Carlos Estevez, he was nails. He went the final 2 innings. He has a 1.8 ERA and an 11.5 strikeouts per 9. The Angels, they're back to just 4 games back of the wild card. From one LA team to another, even though one of them is in Anaheim anyways, the Dodgers were taking on the Reds, and TJ Friedl, he singled in Elly De La Cruz in the 1st, and staying with Elly, this kid launched a no-doubter in the 2nd inning for his 2nd home run already. He went 4 for 5 in this one. He has 20 extra base hits and 17 stolen bases in his first 46 games. That's mind-blowing. But to be honest, he hasn't even been a top 3 rookie for the Reds. The 2nd best rookie has been Matt McClain. That's his 11th home run. He's hitting .305 and been an insane defender at shortstop and second base. The 1st best rookie, by the way, is Andrew Abbott. Anyway, Joey Votto, he belted a long 2-run home run. That's 420 feet. He's only hitting .202 over his last 123 games, and he's a free agent after this season. I don't know if they're going to pick up his team option because he's just not been very good. I mean, he has been powerful, I'll give him that. TJ Friedl drove in his 2nd run of the game, making it 8-0 for Graham Ashcraft, who was very good yet again. He went 6 shutout on just 85 pitches. He's really found his groove. He has a 1.7 ERA over his last 6 starts. Votto, he had another RBI extra base hit. The Reds, they just really need the Brewers to take this L, and luckily for them, the Brewers are taking on the vaunted Braves. The Brewers and the Braves entered in a mini home run derby, and I think there was like 6 home runs in this game. There's the first one, Austin Riley's 21st of the season. He's hitting a ridiculous .390 with 8 home runs and 19 RBIs over his last 11 games. Did Yelly get another one? He did. He has 16 home runs. He's 4 home runs away from his first 2020 season since he had back-to-back 2020 seasons in 18 and 19. Newcomer Carlos Santana, he connected on his first as a Brewer, but look at Matt Olson go. That's his 34th home run. He had 2 on the day, so stay tuned. Milwaukee, they ended up getting back into it and grabbing the lead back in the 6th after a 2-run double from William Contreras. So it's 6-5 Milwaukee now. No, it isn't. Ozuna, he ties it on his 22nd, and like I mentioned, Matt Olson with his 2nd, he finished it off with a monster 2-run shot. He has 35 home runs, 88 RBIs. He leads the NL in both home runs and RBIs, and he also has 4 seasons of 34-plus home runs by the age of 29. He's tied with guys like Miggy, Prince Fielder, and Ryan Howard. Raisel Iglesias, he's been a workhorse out the pen. He strikes out 3. He has 20 saves, which is kind of a lot considering he missed the first 33 games of the season. By the way, I just want to mention that Ronald stole his 51st bag of the year. He's the first human ever with 20 home runs and 50 stolen bases before the month of August, and he can add to it today because today's the final day of July. So after that loss, the Reds are now back in 1st place in the NL Central, and one other team that is really happy to see the Brewers take an L, the Cubs. They've been playing super well as of late. They can get to within 3 games of the wild card with the W. It's just not going to happen in this one. St. Louis, they scored 3 in the first 2 innings on singles from O'Neill. You have Andrew Kisner and Paul Goldschmidt, and that's the game. Steven Matz, he was dialed all the way in again, throwing 6 more shutout, only allowed 4 base hits. Now look at this play to end his night. Arenado, he saved Steven Matz with a sick play at the hot corner. Matz, he now has a 1.7 ERA over his last 5 starts. Now with Jordan Hicks gone, the Cardinals are going to have to deploy a new closing pitcher. They went with the 26-year-old lefty Jojo Romero. He struck out 2 for his first career save. The Cubs, they now need the Diamondbacks to take this L against the Mariners. Arizona has been pretty awful over the last few weeks, I'm not going to lie, and it didn't get much better in this one versus the Mariners. Seattle, they got on the board with a first inning bases loaded walk to Mike Ford, and Ty France, he brought in one more on a single. JP Crawford, he had a big day. That solo home run was his first of 2 extra base hits. His second extra base hit came later in the 9th inning, so stay tuned. We'll get to that. I do have to show Luis Castillo and his pure dominance. 6 shutout frames against a really good Diamondbacks lineup with 7 strikeouts. He only allowed 2 base hits the entire night. Over his last 13 starts, he has a 2.6 ERA and 91 strikeouts in 79 innings. And on top of that, he has not allowed a home run in back-to-back starts, which is huge because his home runs per 9 has basically doubled this year. Eugenio Suarez, he made it 4-0 after JP Crawford doubled. And Seattle, they're now just 4.5 games back of that final spot in the AL wildcard. So the Angels have won, the Mariners have won. Both of those teams are inching ever so closely to stealing that wildcard spot from the Yankees, as New York, they lost again. They benched Aaron Judge to kind of help with his toe injury, but without Judge, they're a flat-out bad baseball team. Anthony Santander, he doubled in Baltimore's leadoff hitter, Adley Rutschman. I mean, shout out to Adley. He can do everything. A leadoff hitter, elite defensive catcher, whatever you want. There's another double, a 2-run double from Ryan O'Hearn. This O'Hearn guy is sick. We'll talk about him later on, because who the heck is this guy? Adam Frazier's turned into a power hitter in 2023. That 3-run tater off of Luis Severino gives him 13 home runs on the season, easily a career high. New York, they left in Severino to see if he can lock in and fix something, but he didn't fix anything. Gunnar Henderson, he doubled in Adley, and O'Hearn, he upped his season stat line to a 304 batting average and a near 140 OPS plus after that RBI single. We haven't seen him this good since his rookie season in 2018 when he had a 154 OPS plus. Baltimore, they went easy. They've officially broken Luis Severino. After the game, he said he's the worst pitcher in baseball. He's not wrong, because he's allowed 7+ in 3 of his last 5 starts. He has a 9 ERA over his last 10 starts, and the Yankees, they fall to 24-30 without Aaron Judge. Before we talk about the other New York team, the Mets, let's talk about the Marlins game real quick, because Detroit, they jumped out to an early 4-0 lead, and that's when the wheels completely fell off for Detroit's starting pitcher, Tarek Skubal. I love Skubal, but yeah, the wheels fell off. Miami, they got on the board with a single from Yuli Gurriel, and then doubles from Nick Fortes and Garrett Hampson, made it 4-4 after 5. Hampson, he's fast, and he's pretty good against lefties. Maybe he's going to be some trade bait. Anyway, Avisail Garcia, he finally did something productive. He stepped up for a go-ahead double in the 6th, only to have the ultra underrated Kerry Carpenter of the Tigers snatch the lead right back on a clutch 2-run single in the 7th. Now, staying with clutch 2 RBI base hits in the 7th inning, Garrett Cooper, he sent that baseball out. He has 13, and then Gene Segura, he added to their lead. Newcomer David Robertson, he worked an easy 9th inning for his 15th save. Miami, they're right there in the wild card. They jumped to a half game over the Phillies because the Phillies got walked off by the Pirates. Justin Verlander was going for win number 250, and he got to face the up-and-coming Nats, but, I mean, they're not very good, so he's going to have a pretty good chance of getting 250. CJ Abrams, he brought in the first run of the game. He stole home, but luckily for JV, his offense came ready to play. They were facing off against the former Met, Trevor Williams, and New York, they had an easy time picking him apart. Pete Alonso got the rally started with an RBI single, and then Jeff McNeil grabbed the lead back on a 3-bagger, so that's a triple. New York, they went up to 4 runs on some sac flies when Lindor, he smoked a pitch for his 21st home run. He's one of 5 shortstops ever to have 200+ home runs by the age of 29. He joins guys like Cal Ripken Jr., Ernie Banks, and A-Rod on that list. So JV is going to get his 250th career win after striking out 5 over 5 1/3. He's given up 2 runs total over his last 3 starts. And Brooks Raley, the new closing pitcher for the Mets, he struck out all 3 hitters. He's up to 3 saves. Here's a sentence I did not think I would be saying today. The Minnesota Twins got swept by the Kansas City Royals. Freddie Fermin, he swatted a 420-foot solo shot in the 2nd, only to have Matt Wallner say, look at this, I'm going to go even further, 445 feet, my goodness. He has 5 home runs and 62 at-bats. He's still just a rookie. One more rookie to talk about, Maikel Garcia of Kansas City. He drove in the game's final run as the Royals starting pitcher, Ryan Yarbrough. He went 7 innings with 5 punch-outs, only allowed that 1 run. The Kansas City bullpen, they locked all the way in. They threw 2 no-hit innings over the final 2 frames, and like I said, that's a sweep. So if the Twins got swept, that means the Guardians can get back to within a half game of first place if they can get this W over Chicago. Cleveland's number 2 hitter, Andres Gimenez, not Ahmed Rosario, took a walk with with the bases loaded to score Oscar Gonzalez. That's a sentence out of heaven for me. Steven Kwan hit his 5th home run of the year. He's hitting .333 with the 144 OPS plus over his last 23 games. And here's our sweet prince, J-Ram, his first of 2 home runs. Stay tuned for the second, because real quick, we got to talk about Garrett Cole. I mean, Aaron Savali, he's given up 6 runs total over his last 6 starts. He allowed 3 base hits over 6 innings. Maybe we should trade him now while the iron is hot. Just get the most value you can, because Aaron Savali, to me, is not that good. I don't know how J-Ram got that pitch out. He somehow muscled that ball for a 348-foot 2-run wall scraper. He has 18 home runs, 13 stolen bases, and 141 OPS plus. And by the way, since 2017, over the last 6 seasons, J-Ram has the most extra base hits in baseball and a combined 141 OPS plus. He's going to be a Hall of Famer in my opinion. And just like that, the Guardians, they're back to a half game of first place. Both the Minnesota Twins and the Cleveland Guardians are racing to that elusive 81-81 500 record, but they'll probably finish in first place. One game after the Rays lost by like 900, they got some sweet revenge. Josh Lowe, he's so good, guys. He's still just a rookie. That was his 20th double of the year. He clears everything. He has 55 RBIs to go along with 13 home runs and 22 stolen bases. Nothing happened until the 4th when Yandy Diaz and Brandon Lau, they both singled to make it a 6th spot. Now let's make it an 8th spot. Brandon Lau, he ripped a 2-run home run in the 6th, his 13th. He's hitting .302 with 4 home runs and 9 RBIs over his last 12, so Brandon Lau, he's waking up. We just saw the Astros lose, so the Astros fan base had their San Diego jerseys on for the weekend because San Diego, they were taking on the first place Rangers and they're looking for a sweep. Blake Snell, he was on the bump, which means that Texas, they might only get a run or 2. Okay, they got 1 on an error from Blake Snell. That's it though. Blake's lineup immediately picked him up with Gary Sanchez hitting his first of 2. Yes, you heard that right. Scary Gary, he had 2. But before we show that, we got to show off Juan Soto with an RBI double to score Tatis. He's got 25 doubles, 20 home runs, and an insane .420 on base percentage on the season. Blake Snell, he struck out 9 over 5, which means over his last 13 starts, he has a 0.7 ERA and 108 strikeouts in 74 innings. He's allowed just 6 runs in 13 starts. He is the front runner to win Cy Young in the National League, which means that he would become one of the few pitchers in baseball history with the Cy Young in the AL and the National League. There's Gary's second of the game. That's his first multi-home run game since 2021. He has 12 home runs in 48 games. Josh Hader, he gives San Diego the win on his 25th save. He has a 0.9 ERA, and the Rangers, they've lost 3 in a row, and they're 3-7 over their last 10, but at least they're making trades. I'm going to keep it a buck with you all. One of the most boring games of the year, the A's versus the Rockies. Ryan McMahon, he did all the damage in this one off of A's rookie Luis Medina. McMahon, he's got 41 extra base hits and 50 RBIs to go along with 16 DRS at the hot corner. He's going to win his first Gold Glove this year, which means for the first time since 2012, someone not named Nolan Arenado will be the Gold Glover at third base in the National League. By the way, rookie Luis Medina, he was still pretty good. He has a 2.9 ERA and 39 strikeouts over his last 36 innings, so the A's, they can definitely build around him, or at least I think he's pretty good. Ty Black of Colorado, he went 5 shutout, and yeah, after Justin Lawrence struck out 2 in the 9th, the 41-64 Rockies beat the 30-77 A's. Okay, let's move on. It's the only things that really changed. The Guardians are now just a half game back of the Twins for first place in the AL Central. Speaking of Centrals, the Reds, they're back in first place, pretty much the exact same thing as the AL Central. They're ahead by a half game. Now we're going to show the wild card right now because look at what is happening in the NL wild card. The Giants are up by 1 game. The Brewers, look at them. They're tied with the Marlins for the second wild card spot. The Phillies, they're a half game back. The Diamondbacks, they're 1 game back. The Cubs are 3.5 games back. The Padres are now up to 5 games back because they've won 3 in a row. That's the NL wild card. And then the AL wild card, the Rays are still ahead of everyone. Then you have the Blue Jays, the Astros. They both lost. Same with the Red Sox and the Yankees. So because the Angels, the Mariners, and the Guardians won, they're all within 6 games. The Mariners and Angels are within 4.5 games. It's going to be madness. Today was a monster recap, so if you watched all the way until the end, shout out to you. Do me a favor, my editor Camden, he has a channel right here, or use this right here, Cam23. Subscribe to my editor Cam23. He makes these videos possible. He puts a lot of effort into them as well, and he has his own channel. So Cam23 right here. I'll see you guys over there.